subject assigned to me today is budgeting in nation states. And I am encouraged to speak on the subject, more so because of the series of previous talks where we were trying to bring to the table pointers for remodeling the economy. And two, we had taken Pakistan as the specific point in case to address. Now, budgeting a nation, any nation state, essentially revolves, as we see, with the predominant 183 odd nation states, in a manner where the political criteria and genuine welfare of the population are at play. So, what we see basically in a budgeting format is the inflow of revenue sources for any nation state and its utilization or the outflow of the same. When it is politically based and politically biased, then the revenue sources for the nation state are meant for achieving political objectives or meeting the essential requirements of the ruling elite. And if you reverse this role, if you reverse the criteria entirely, then in a budgeting structure, what becomes essential is the population for whom the budget is being prepared. Therefore, the needs of a population vis-a-vis their requirements of food, education, healthcare, security, shelter, clothing, communication, the protection of liberties will present a cost. And that cost will have to be then matched with a revenue source. And this is fundamental from the point of view of Islamic ideology. This is fundamental from the point of view of taxation structures. This is fundamental from the point of view of egalitarian societies and countries that need to meet the requirements of a population wherever they exist. So, if we take Pakistan as a case in study, then we will see that we have been indulging in a ritual of absurdity representing political gimmickry for the appeasement of donors and or the ruling elite, a cult that has come into place and remains firmly in the saddle. So the people become irrelevant, and the political objectives of retaining a certain power structure in the country acceptable to the alien powers becomes the fundamental point for consideration. In a population in Pakistan of 221 million people plus, a figure will emerge when we look into, even from the window of our own constitution as is in existence, their needs for food, their needs for clothing, their needs for shelter, their needs for education, their need for healthcare, their needs for security. We will come to a figure which is probably 30 to 35 times larger than the current budget. Evidently, historically, the track record is clear evidence of the fact that this has been ignored and is being constantly ignored over the last 7+ decades in this country. That means the whole structure of the budget is absurd. It is an indulgence which is there to appease the donors, to follow a certain code for fiscal support and the retention of debt. It is not poised on realistic terms where budgets ought to address the population, the people that are contained within the political territories of a nation state. So, this particular talk was essential because we have seen the recent budget surface, and we have had a series of talk on the remodeling of the economy, and unless this structure is changed to be beneficial for the people of this country, the entire exercise is oppressive and supportive to colonialism more so than the people who presume themselves to be part of an independent nation state. The ethos of independence are challenged by a structure as absurd and nonsensical as it does exist. Now, when we work towards first in a budget assessing the cost of supporting a population, and let's take Pakistan as a case in study. If we take the cost of supporting a population at a certain level of subsistence, from the perspective of our ideology at the highest level of subsistence, then we will need to assess two principal factors: the actual cost, decentralized fiscal management. Through this decentralized fiscal management, we'll have to assess the actual cost. Cost for education, cost for healthcare, cost for security, and the like. Cost for nourishing food, for instance. This cost will be figure X, which will emerge on paper. To meet this cost, it is inevitable that one will have to view the revenue sources to meet this. Now here, in the revenue sources, will rest another dichotomy of the value of your medium of exchange. A and B, the degree of labor compensation that has to be made. So why are nation states in debt, and why are they being kept in debt is an extension of colonialism, or the philosophy of colonialism globally applicable, implemented and in place. In the Pakistan case, labor compensation, if it were being done on the basis of a medium of exchange that was based not on your gross level of production or your exports, but on the asset value of this nation state, the rupee would be worth 3 times the US dollar. The rupee would be worth a lot more than where it stands today. This is simple economics, and this is simple arithmetic. We have traditionally seen plants from colonists coming in to model economies to run the financial regime of nation states. And if we look around today in Pakistan, we will see very identifiable faces that address this. The labor compensation in Pakistan is adequate if the medium of exchange is revalued to its actual level, where it is linked to the asset base of the nation state. A. B. If enterprise is freed from the clutches of the ruling elite, all your natural resources, if they represent the asset base of a country, are more than adequate to be able to support a population of over 1 billion people at the highest level of subsistence. If, and only if, enterprise, industrialization, trade and commerce are left to the people to handle and not their servants. And we have innumerous examples here which have been covered in previous talks, where you take institutions that are literally on dole and forever squeezing the population on the basis of a taxation structure which is again oppressive. There is nothing we need to learn from the West insofar as economics is concerned, because it's just a game. There is nothing we need to learn from the West on the philosophy of labor, because our own philosophers and writers and thinkers have provided us the roadmap and the destination for it. A quotation from Ibn Khaldun's Muqaddimah comes to my mind, where overtaxation, he asserts, kills the incentive to labor. Pakistan has the youngest labor force available to any nation state on the planet. We have killed their incentive to labor. We have killed the prospects for the development of their skills. We have chased away our entrepreneurs because a bunch of usurpers loyal to an alien medium of exchange will not allow the people to assert their rightful position as citizens that can turn the country's economy around. This is the big picture. It's an unfortunate picture. And it is absolutely imperative that with budgets surfacing and being slammed onto our faces year on year, that the whole structure be challenged for its validity legally, logically, and from the perspective of our own constitution which is in place. It is with all this, it is with this end in purpose that, without being overly repetitive on the issue, that 100% urbanization has been proposed over the years, that a corporate Pakistan has been proposed over the years, and the redefinition of governmental institutions for their constitutional authority and place have been proposed over the years. This stronghold of the government institutions over the people and their pockets and the natural resources of this country are absolutely unacceptable and absolutely not workable in the long run. It's a writing on the wall. It's simple arithmetic that if we live with this much longer, we would be responsible for decimating the existence of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. So, when we move on from here towards the conclusion, I will reiterate my position on redefining the structure of the budget or the budgeting process for nation states in general and for Pakistan in particular. And that would manifest as follows: that the cost of subsistence for the population has to be counted first and has to be politically decentralized for dispensation. And to meet that particular bill based on standards at the front end of material technology, at the front end of social technology, have to be found. From within our own working. So when you look at the structure of the budget now, it will manifest the cost of supporting a population of 221 million specific to Pakistan at the highest cost of subsistence today available on the planet for standards, quality and facilities available, ensuring their liberties, and to meet that bill, we need to find a revenue source which has to come over time from trade and from industrialization, from agriculture, from mining, from tourism. But immediately, it has to come only from one source of taxation, and that is land revenue. It is land revenue first, land revenue second, land revenue third, which must meet the bill. The effects of the Pakistan rupee in the basket of currencies globally is totally irrelevant. The efficacy of FATF, for whatever that represents, the dictates of the World Bank and the IMF, for whatever that represents, is directly in conflict with our ideology, with our constitution, with our needs, and essentially must be chucked out of the window with the people who support it. This is all for tonight on the issue of restructuring the budget, with a prayer and a hope that next year we would not see the repetition of this political gimmickry and absurd ritual. Thank you very much.